We can talk about me and Marion Barry.
We need to.
Great story. To this day, I will defend Marion Barry to this day.
And not most, any black man from D.C. of your era
That's right.
should and will and should defend Marion Barry.
Absolutely.
So give me some Marion Barry.
So we'll get back to Prince George's and the county party. So D.C., my friends in high school, female, male, were oftentimes the sons and daughters of political figures in Washington.
Okay.
My parents, as we've discussed, were not political activists. They weren't politically connected. They never contributed to campaigns, although I think my mom may have written a check for like $5 to Marion Barry at some point.
Yeah.
She loved Marion Barry. Both my mom and dad loved Marion Barry. Marion Barry was the quintessential leader of Washington. He took the concept of Chocolate City and gave it power. Because it was otherwise disconnected from home rule and power and structure. And he made that connection. And I'm not trying to rewrite his history. It was a torrid history, personal demons he had to deal with. The best of Marion Barry occurred between 78 and 82 when he first got into office. That was the period that I came into his orbit, worked on his campaign as a Republican.
Worked on Marion Barry's campaign?
As a Republican in 1978.
Wow. The Summer Jobs Program, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
It made real differences,
Yeah,
right?
it made real differences. I was just a little crazy volunteer whenever I come back from Johns Hopkins. That was, I was in my junior year that year, sophomore year, during that election cycle. So yeah, for me, it was home. And this guy coming off his work, on the school board, dashiki and all afro, I respected that. I believe it or not, I'm really a contrarian. I like to blow stuff up. I hate the political establishment. I hate the established order of things. If it's so rigid, it refuses to change itself when its surroundings and its environment are changing. And so he was that change agent in many respects. I gotten to know Walter Washington, the first appointed mayor of Washington, subsequently elected.
People where we do CBC every year is at the Washington Convention Center, and I'm like, no,
it's not
this
right.
Is not
Thank you.
DC. This is the Walter
Washington Convention Center.
Yeah.
Let's be clear about what it is, and that's why I say people don't know DC because they don't know neighborhoods. They don't know the people and why the people. I'll be blunt. White folks still don't get how Marion Barry got reelected after coming out of jail.
It was funny, man.
They still don't get it. I'm sorry, y'all just don't get it.
Way TMI, but my metric for judging whether or not I can be friends with a white person who lives in Washington, D.C. is, at some point in the first month of our friendship, I'm going to throw out, how do you feel about Marion Barry? Because let's be clear, Marion Barry, to the extent that, we live in Maryland now.
Right.
But to the extent that we all enjoy the fruits of the megalopolis that is Washington, D.C.,
Right.
Marion Barry built that.
Bingo.
And I ask every white person, because we love them.
Right.
And
right.
we love
you don't come up here talking about Marion.
We don't allow it.
Don't allow it.
At our table. But every white person, my baseline threshold question is, I'm going to find a way to ask you what you think about Marion Barry.
Right.
And your answer, it's almost like, I'm going to ask you about Coach Prime today.
Right.
And your answer is going to tell me what I need to know about you.
Yeah.
Because you're benefiting from the fruits of his labor.
And he was, for me, had become for me, and would become even more so later, which I'm happy to share, in my career, that connection between Washington and Maryland, between public service and commitment, and understanding what that is. And as I would tell people when I mention his name, and they kind of roll their eyes and they're like, oh my God, they start talking about the drug habit and they start talking about the prostitute. I was like, do you know why they reelected him? Ask him. Because he did something for them.
Come on now.
Mamas didn't have to worry about where their kids going to work that summer.
That's right.
They had a job.
Summer job program.
Summer job program.
Yeah. Which means, and I think that's the disconnect. We get caught up in the horse race and all this nonsense.
We do.
But politics is about delivering.
Did you deliver what you said? Thank you.
Services,
Essential service. Man, they picked up the trash.
Yeah.
Man, they cleared the snow.
Yeah.
And what happened when he was in Florida and the snowstorm hit, or I think he was in Florida, but the snowstorm hit and he wasn't here? He took a hell of a hit. And he got his ass on the plane to get back here a day later because he realized, oh, crap.
And there's something to be said about however it was at 44, however it was that he came into my public consciousness. The bitch set me up.
There you go, right?
However I came to know of him, there was a time before that.
Yep.
And
I was a part of that.
You were part of that time, right? And there is a moment in which, no hyperbole, for this city in its development, Marion Barry is Barack Obama.
Bingo.
Long before
Barack
Obama. And there was a Harold Washington.
Yep.
Louis Stokes.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
yes.
that tradition.
That tradition of actually doing public service and making it real for the people. So Marion had this ability to do that. Those lessons that in watching him work. I'll never forget this. I'm running for the United States Senate in 2006. 11 o'clock at night, I get a phone call. Hey, Michael. Hello? It's Marion. Mr. Mayor, meet me at your sister's. I'll be there in 30 minutes.
This is 06.
11 o'clock at night. I'm like, okay, my sister's in Bethesda. I'm in Prince George's. He's in D.C. Okay, 11 o'clock.
We gonna meet.
I get in the car. I get to my sister's house and walk in, and Marion Barry sitting there in the living room. Sit down, let me talk to you about your race.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
Next hour this man spent with me, and he said, remember what I did in Ward 8?
Come on, man.
You need to go out and you need to talk to people.
And let's be clear, Ward 8 was then and now the most challenged, underserved community.
Remember what I did in Ward 8.
Come on, man.
I made those people relevant. They had to pay attention to them. They had to pay attention to them. I didn't win every battle. He said, you're not going to win every battle. He said, but you need to go out and make the case for the poorest people in your community.